You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
And welcome back to the Renegade Blitz podcast. I'm Ty Polk with Chris Ward and Brandon Walker, back with you to talk about, well, the important pro days of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, there's Kenny Pickett that's right down the street, at least for me, with the South Side. But the big one is Malik Willis. And we wanted to get someone who was there at the pro days so you can get a little bit more inside information and maybe try to see if the Steelers are actually going to draft him. And we have John Manson. He's a part of Sea of Red, an independent cover of Liberty's sports and athletics. And John, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
And of course, it's no secret. The Steelers have been attached to the hip of Malik Willis really since the Senior Bowl. And now it seems like with all of the movement around the AFC North, the trade for Deshawn Watson for the Browns, of course, with Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in the division as well, it seems like the pressure is really ramped up to 1,000 for the Steelers to get that franchise quarterback right now. So, John, I want to know, like, covering that, I know that the Falcons, the Panthers were a few of the teams out there, the Commanders as well. Just what was the vibe at that pro day for Liberty? Because this is really their first mega prospect ever, really.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, you know, Eric Green, which most of you Pittsburgh fans are familiar with, he was our highest ever draft pick to this point, selected in the 1990 NFL draft in the first round, I think number 21 overall by Pittsburgh. But, you know, I mean, that was 20-some years ago. So, you know, we've never seen anything like we saw yesterday at Pro Day with, you know, around 100 NFL scouts, GMs, coaches, personnel, et cetera, and another 100 credentialed media members there. So I don't think there's ever been a head coach, at least not in my time of covering Liberty the past 10 years, that there's ever been a head coach that showed up at Pro Day. And we had two yesterday with Tomlin, and then Matt Rule from the Panthers was there, and four different general managers, you know, Steelers, Commanders, Falcons, and one other slipping my mind right now. But so, yeah, I mean, it was, you know, the place was hopping and live and crowded, unlike we normally see around Liberty for a pro day or for a practice or anything like that. So it was a unique day for Liberty.
And John, the one, you know, Malik Willis, he had just like he did at the scouting combine, he had a really impressive performance at his pro day. You know, the throws he was making, you know, it was all over Twitter. The one that got the attention was when he ran down the field and everything. And Tomlin was, you know, captured photos were going on Twitter about Tomlin was smiling, Colbert was smiling too, and Brandon Hunt, another scout for the Steelers, looked really impressed too. What did you see on that throw by Willis, and what was your overall thoughts on his pro day?
Yeah, I mean, he had a really, really strong day and threw well. But, you know, it's funny, I've been around, you know, Malik the last 3 years. He was at Liberty 1 year after he transferred from Auburn, had to sit out a year, and then he was a starter the last 2 years. And, you know, it's funny because going to all these games and going to visiting press boxes particularly, you know, you try not to take it for granted, but at the same time, I mean, some of the throws he makes, like even the one he made in Pro Day yesterday, I mean, I've seen that a half dozen to a dozen times. I mean, it's not like, you know, so when you see it, it's like, oh, nice throw, but at the same time, I've seen it before. So it's always funny, like I mentioned, going to visiting press boxes and sitting and watching games like at Ole Miss or you know, some of the other Power 5 schools Liberty's played in the past few years, and seeing them, you know, the other media members and individuals there that don't see him every day. Just, you know, every game he would make a play that was just like jaw dropping, and they just make lots of oohs and ahs in the press box. You know, we saw that again yesterday at the pro day, And again, like I said, I've seen it a lot. You try not to take it for granted, but that throw he made, was 65 yards from one hash to the other hash, downfield, kind of not even set, throwing off his back foot. Go out and look at his highlights, which I'm sure you guys have before. He's made throws like that before. We had a big win. Liberty did 2020 season at Virginia Tech, in-state rival, Power 5 team. And you probably seen the highlights of him where he had a similar play. He was evading the pass rush, rolling out to his right about our own 45-yard line, kind of threw off his back foot and threaded a needle down the sideline. And the same guy, actually, Kevin Shaw, came down with that reception, the same guy that made the catch yesterday, the pro day, down inside the 5 and set the team up with the touchdown right before halftime. So, he was a good day for him. But again, it's not like he did something that he hasn't done the past 2 years.
Okay. We all see the talent, the raw talent. We could talk about that, dissect all day. But what's important for an NFL quarterback is what's between the ears. Number one, what is his leadership abilities, and what is his approach to the game like? Because that's what's really going to count when he gets to the NFL.
Yeah, great question. And I've seen a lot of people, talking on Twitter and social media and different websites and blogs and things about, is Malik putting on a show these past few months for the cameras? And, it started with, I guess, when he was handing out some clothing items to a person of need there in Indianapolis at the Combine. But that's who Malik is. You can go out and look at on Liberty University, Liberty Flames YouTube page, and they always post, post-game press conferences, weekly press conferences with the coaches and players. And you can go back and look at, different press conferences from Malik, after games, before games. That's just who he is. He's always giving credit to his teammates, deflecting praise, taking all the blame, all the criticism after a tough loss. That's just who Malik Willis is. He's a great teammate, a great leader. I don't know if it came across there on TV on NFL Network, but Liberty's entire team was in the building for the pro day, and there was 60 or 70 of them over there on the sidelines and bleachers that were cheering him on and oohing and on when he was making big plays. And you might have seen him run down the sideline and put up his fingers to kind of point to him and stuff. That's just who he is. He's a great teammate, a great leader. Liberty's rallied behind him the past 2 years and behind him, he's taken this program to heights never seen before.
And I'm curious, seeing it in person, do you believe that there's a lot of smoke to the fire of the Steelers certainly are going after Malik Willis? Everyone, whenever they need a quarterback, will flirt with anyone. I'm pretty sure the Steelers are going to do that with Sam Howell. They're doing that with Matt Corral. They did it with Kenny Pickett, who's basically in the same practice facility probably for the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, as you guys know, draft days are crazy. You never know what's going to happen on draft day. But Pittsburgh seems to be the one team that keeps popping up with Malik Willis, more than anybody else. I was over there at Pro Day yesterday, and Tomlin was the only head coach that was hanging around the entire day. He was, down in the weight room in the basement of the practice facility when Malik was just there cheering his teammates on, and not, because he didn't do the bench press and the high jump and the broad and the 40 and all that. He just did the throwing in the afternoon. But, several hours before that, Tomlin was down there watching him and watching the other Liberty players go through all their drills. And I didn't see Matt Rule until 30 to 40 minutes before Willis took the field. So that doesn't necessarily mean that, Tomlin wants him or the Steelers want him more than the Panthers or any other team. But I'm just sharing what I saw yesterday. And the Steelers were there the entire day from the beginning to the end, kind of keeping Malik within earshot. And, they talked to him. There were some pictures going on social media, I'm sure you guys have seen, of him talking to Malik and also talking to the head coach at Liberty, Hugh Freeze. And I definitely think there's smoke to the fire. We'll see what happens. I don't know if Malik, how it's going to go on draft day, if he'll slip down to, I think you guys are at 18 or 19. I don't know if he'll stay that long, if you guys will trade up, or if the Panthers sitting at 8, they're probably going to go after a quarterback with them at all these pro days. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens here these next few weeks.
And John, did did Willis meet with any other scouts or teams? Because I saw there was reports that Tomlin had dinner with him on Monday night. They said he had chicken wings. That was a funny quote that Willis had. But did he meet with any other teams?
Yeah, he, as you mentioned, he met with the Steelers. What was that, Monday night, the night before the pro day? They went out to dinner, and he was joking in his press conference he had after the pro day about, how Tomlin's just a normal guy and likes the chicken wings, and Malik had a good time with him and the others from the Steelers. But yeah, I was told that he met with also the Seahawks and the Chiefs yesterday morning. He was supposed to also meet with Carolina. I'm thinking yesterday, maybe after pro day, they might have even gone to dinner. I don't know that for certain, but there was some talk of that possibly happening last night. But over the past couple of months, I do know that he's met with just about every NFL team, some, of course, more than others. But, yesterday it was the Chiefs and the Seahawks that I know for sure.
Okay.
Not the Chiefs. I shouldn't say the Chiefs. The Cardinals. My bad. The Cardinals.
Oh, so I would say, I don't.
The Chiefs don't need to talk to a quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but okay. I always now this team. What do you think his best offensive fit would be at the next level? What team? I'm not saying what specific team, but what specific offense? Like, is he a West Coast guy? Will he be in a McVay type of offense or a Matt Canada type offense? What do you think fits his skill set at the next level?
Yeah, it's a good question. And he's Hugh Freeze and his system at Liberty. It's an RPO system. So he's used to the RPO, the run pass option, where he can, get the ball out of the shotgun. There's been a lot of talk of him, can he play under center and all that sort of stuff. So that's what he's accustomed to. So I think he would fit best in a system like that, and also Liberty plays tempo, so they go fast and get a lot of plays in and that sort of thing. But Malik's a smart player. I mean, he's a smart kid. He can adapt to just about any system. Personally, as a Malik Willis fan, if I can say I'm a Malik Willis fan as he moves forward out of Liberty and into the NFL, I think you would fit in perfectly with Pittsburgh. I mean, you guys got some young talent, some talented skill players. I know the offensive line might need some upgrades there, but he's a guy that can. That's his best skill set is being able to get out and make plays with his feet and extend plays, and you don't really get to see that at a pro day or at the combine or anything like that. But, go put on some film of Liberty games the last couple of years, and you'll see Malik always making plays with his feet, extending plays. I mean, he led the team in rushing the last 2 years. And it's not that we didn't try to run or Liberty didn't try to run. They did, but Malik was just that good.
What is one of the things that he would need to improve on in the pro level?
Yeah, I think decision making is one of those things. A lot of times, at college and being a guy so talented, he was able to make things happen because he was better than the other players on the other side of the field. So obviously that's not going to be the case in the NFL. Everybody's, a high level athlete, high level football player. So he's going to have to just improve in his decision making and not staring down receivers, going through his progressions. And also he's got a rocket for an arm. I know that's been the big talk about him, but sometimes that comes back to bite him. And when he needs to put a little bit of touch on the pass, he does it, and he'll just rocket it in there to 10-yard, crossing pattern or something where he just needs a little bit more touch. And sometimes, to help his receiver or back or whoever it is coming out of the flat. But those are some of the things. But those are all things that can be taught. And he can learn as he gets to that level. And another thing about Malik is, he was recruited out of high school as a defensive back. He originally committed to Virginia Tech as a defensive back and was going to go there to play DB. And then he didn't play quarterback in high school till his senior year of high school. And then Auburn came in last minute and grabbed him, and he flipped from VT to Auburn. And then at Auburn, he was there for a couple of years but didn't play. So he's only been a starting quarterback in college for 2 years and 3 years at Liberty, where he redshirted the first year after transferring. But, so he's still – I think his potential is just – off the charts. He can learn a lot, and it might be best. I'd love for Malik to be able to go in and start day one, but it might be best for him to, kind of sit behind somebody for a year and learn the ins and outs of the NFL game.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to ask, do you think he's going to be a week one starter? How long, you think it'll be a year, 2 years for him to be an NFL starter like a Patrick Mahomes situation?
Yeah, I think best case for him, it would be like a Patrick Mahomes situation. If he could come in and sit behind somebody for a year and kind of learn what it takes to be an NFL player and what it takes to compete at that top level, that would be best. But at the same time, I'm not going to put anything behind Malik. I mean, if he gets thrown out there week one and to be a starter, he'll have to have some growing pains and learn on the job, if you will, as some of us have all had to do before, right? Just kind of get thrown in the fire and you either sink or swim. And I'm sure Malik will be able to figure it out. But yeah, I think best case scenario for him would be, to do a Patrick Mahomes thing or a Trey Lance, where he was at, with the 49ers this past year, got drafted, what was he, number 2 overall and still sat behind Garoppolo the whole year. I think that would be perfect for Malik. But at the end of the day, if he ends up being offensive rookie of the year, don't quote me on that.
And John, covering Malik Willis the last couple of years, what kind of person is he? Just reading the quotes, online, he seems like he's a real laid back. He throws a couple jokes in there and stuff. What was it like covering him?
Man, it's been a lot of fun to cover him. I mean, he has a lot of, college kids, early on in their careers, they may not be as comfortable to being in front of a microphone or doing a press conference or something. So you saw him grow a lot over the past couple of years from a guy who, wasn't used to the limelight, being at Auburn and, second, third string and not getting a lot of snaps to coming into Liberty and being, having to sit out a year after transferring to all of a sudden he's the guy and he's on ESPN all the time and he's leading Liberty to a top 25 ranking and all these sort of things. So you saw him grow up a lot, mature a lot. That's one thing he said that he learned a lot from his time at Auburn to transferring to Liberty is how much he matured just as a person off the field and realizing that, you have to put in the work off the field and in the weight room and watching film to be able to compete at the top level. And he learned that. I think that year, where he had to sit out was big for him. But at the same time, he's what you see in these interviews is exactly who he is. I mean, he's as humble as they come. Hugh Freeze, who, was a coach at Ole Miss for a while, he's coached and recruited a lot of high-end NFL players that have been drafted in the first round. And he says Malik's as humble as any player I've ever had. But at the same time, he's confident and as good as he is as a player, I think he's a better person and a better teammate even off the field.
I got nothing else, guys. You guys continue on.
Brandon, you got anything? You got anything?
I really don't have anything else. But besides that, what do you think is? You ain't gotta say. You don't gotta just be objective because you're on the Steelers podcast. Who do you think is the best fit for him? I'll put you.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I do think Steelers is a great spot. I think with Tomlin, and I'm not saying that just because I'm on here with you guys. You can ask some other people. I've said this to him before. I think, Tomlin's a great coach. You guys got a great system and culture there. And, the only negative is I was kind of hoping Big Ben would stick around for another year so Malik could kind of, ease into it rather than get thrown into it. But, with some of you guys' skill positions and talent you guys got, I think he would fit in perfect there. Carolina, I'm a little iffy on that one. I mean, he's not far from there, being in Lynchburg. It's only about a 3-hour drive. So it would be nice from a fan perspective for Liberty fans to get to see him in Carolina. But I'm not sure. Rule, I think, is on the hot seat. I'm not sure how things are going to go there. Atlanta would be a good spot for him, too, I think, because, he's from Atlanta. So hometown kid, bringing him home. They just traded Matt Ryan. I'm not sure, what's going on with their quarterback situation now. But I think Atlanta would be a good spot for him, too. I think he would probably enjoy to be in Atlanta, right, in his backyard. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be a Malik Willis fan wherever he goes.
Well, actually, I have one more thing. You mentioned the other players for the Pro Day for Liberty. Who else should we be looking out for from the Flames?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure anybody else is going to necessarily get drafted this year. If I had to guess, Story Jackson's a guy that might get some looks. Maybe like a camp invite or something like that, or a undrafted free agent type player. He's a linebacker. He transferred into Liberty as a grad transfer from Prairie View A&M this past year and led the team in tackles. Had over 100 tackles. Big kid, strong, fast, physical. Has a nose for the ball. I think he should get a shot. Another guy who really, he was just off the chart. He was had a 4.31 unofficial 40 yesterday. Was Kevin Shaw, wide receiver. He was the guy that caught that pass from Malik there, the one that was getting all the love on social media. He's a speedy guy, obviously, a slot guy, shifty. He's a little undersized though, so I'm not sure. 5'9". I'm not sure how that would translate to the NFL, but he might get a tryout because he had a really good day yesterday. Like I said, the 4.31 40, also had a 38 high vertical jump, and he had a really good day yesterday. Those are probably the two top guys. There's a couple of D linemen, Rouse Rusens and Elijah James, who might get a camp invite, but I'm not sure anybody else would get drafted this year. Story Jackson's a guy that could get – somebody might take a 6th or 7th round flyer on him late, the linebacker.
I do have a question. Are you concerned about – well, you just talked about you ain't going to have many people – not many of his teammates have been drafted. Number one, you can say that's a good thing because he elevated his team. But do you think the jump in competition is going to be too high at first? Because it's 1A, but it's
sure.
FBS, but it's they're Sunbelt, right?
Yeah, well, they're independent right now. They're going to be going to Conference USA. They played a lot of Sunbelt teams this past year, but that's a valid point and valid criticism and question. And it's true. Like Liberty does not have a roster full of NFL players. There's no doubt about that. And some of his receivers, there's a young guy, Demario Douglas, who could get a look. He's just a redshirt sophomore, so he's a couple years away. But still, there's not any other NFL caliber players necessarily across the board like you would have in the SEC or the ACC or Big 10, Big 12, et cetera. But at the same time, Liberty was playing some of those teams. They played Virginia Tech and Syracuse and Ole Miss this past year, and so they had some games where he had his chances to showcase his abilities, and played BYU as well a couple years ago. So and part of that is one reason why I think it'd be best for him to come in and kind of take it slow, sit behind a veteran quarterback for a year and learn the ropes of things. But at the same time, he's an SEC level athlete. He played at Auburn. He was recruited to play there. He was a high-ranked prospect out of high school, originally committed to Virginia Tech, and so I won't put anything past him. He's obviously an athlete and can compete, but it will be a jump to playing in the NFL. But I think that's the case. You guys cover the NFL more than I do, but I think that's the case for any rookie, right? Whether you're coming from Alabama or Ohio State or Liberty or North Dakota State, it takes you some time to adjust to that speed of the game and that level of play.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing basically with Brandon about making the step up to the NFL. And I was just going to say about Josh, I've been reading a lot about Malik Willis, that they compare him to Josh Allen as far as Josh Allen came out of Wyoming, and people said he was playing with like Division II wide receivers. And people are saying the same thing with Willis, who, as far as like the people that nitpick at his stats and everything.
Yeah, sure. But there's lots of guys that have done it. You mentioned Josh Allen. You look at North Dakota State; they put out 2 quarterbacks recently. Carson Wentz, which I know we could talk about if he's an NFL caliber quarterback or not. But he's been in the NFL, was a first-round draft pick. He came from North Dakota State, which is even lower level than Liberty. Trey Lance, same thing, North Dakota State. So there's guys that have done it before. Yeah, Joe Flacco's another one. He had Delaware, I believe. So there's guys that have done it.
Went to Delaware.
Yeah. So there's guys that have done it. So I think Malik can do it. It's just, a matter of him getting in the right system and around the right culture, which is why I think Pittsburgh would be a good fit for him.
Do you think he'll go top 10? I think was Dan Orlovsky from ESPN. I think after the pro day, he said he's a lock for top 10.
Yeah, I've talked to Sean McAvoy, who Quincy, you might know Quincy Avery from QB Takeover, his quarterback coach, and then also Sean McAvoy works with him as well. I've talked to him about it some yesterday and over the past couple of months, and I mean, you never know what's going to happen on draft day, but there are teams in the top 10. Carolina's one. Atlanta was one. We'll see if they're still interested in one with their moves they've made. But, they're in the top 10 that I think they would be interested in. And quarterbacks, as you guys know, they always, they might be ranked as the 25th best prospect in class or something like that. They always, people are going to jump at them. I mean, we've seen what happened last year with 5 guys going in the first round, and the past few years, that's how it's happened. So, yeah, I would expect Malik to go, in the top 10. I definitely think at least one quarterback will go in the top 10, maybe 2. And then it just depends on what team that is and who they like best out of, whether it's a Malik or a Matt Corral or somebody else like that, or Pickett, because I know some people might like one guy over the other.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Steelers, if they want Willis, that they're going to have to trade up into that top 10. And Tomlin, he looks like he likes him a lot. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. I think so too. I don't think he'll be there at 18. If I had to give you my guess.
Steelers are drafting at 20, so you're 20 2 spots.
20, yeah. I don't think he'll be there at 20 either.
John Manson from A Sea of Red, covering Liberty Sports independently. John, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
What more is there to talk? I mean, Matt Ryan got traded to the Indianapolis Colts, and the Atlanta Falcons, they signed Marcus Mariota, who I was looking at, but as far as I'm concerned, I could say that at least in terms of all-around ability, probably the Steelers got the better of the free agency quarterbacks. And, of course, the big thing, Deshawn Watson, 5 years, $230 million.
Yeah. I told you it was probably going to happen. I was like, there's a down the run. I was like, he wants money. Money talks. You know what walks.
And he's only going to get $1 million off of that first year. If he gets suspended, the Browns have $1 million of dead money. $1 million. They did it fantastically, and I wouldn't be surprised if he got that year. I don't think they'll see Deshaun Watson this year, so whatever picks they traded for, it's going to be high.
You think he'll the whole year?
I think he's going to play this year.
I think he's going to get suspended for the entire season, but he's probably going to get some sort of grace period back. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he got suspended 10, 12, and maybe they bump it down 2 games.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I think they're going 8 games.
You think 8? Yeah, I've been reading a whole bunch of different. It's been going. I think
it's double digits.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't
because
really,
it's all civil. Like if he got convicted, it never went to trial criminally, so they're not gonna. I know it's 22, but it just depends on what they want to do. I think that's not going to be the whole season.
Yeah, I don't get that move by the Browns really. I mean, I know he's a great player, but that's pretty risky to give up that much draft capital and pay someone that much money. He's not even going to be suspended for a long period of time. I know they're looking at the long, run, but I don't know.
I'll put it to you like this: this league just suspended a wide receiver for gambling for a year.
Yeah, I don't get that.
A year.
Yeah,
I know that the NFL is basically a corporation that doesn't really care about optics when it benefits them. But at this point, if you're going to suspend a guy for gambling for a year, I think that, crimes against women, even if not found out criminally, and especially with this number of cases behind it, I think you have to give it a year to at least do something. Can you arbitrate it down? Yes. But I think
we'll say probably will. I think it's probably going to be 10 games.
It's going to get arbitrated down. That's why I was saying a year. It didn't mean that I did I think he wouldn't play that season? No, it's going to get arbitrated down. I know that.
But
if it happened for Ben, it happened for him. They already
kind of suspended him with pay.
Is it double jeopardy? That's the only thing. But does double jeopardy really matter Does double jeopardy really matter in the sense of the NFL? After all, this is a private company. This is not public.
I know, but double jeopardy. Yeah, but double jeopardy. Yeah, they pretty much basically suspended him last year. They weren't going to let him play with all them allegations. He would have suited up. Let's be honest. He would have suited up for Houston if he was allowed. If he wanted to. I don't care what he
didn't want to, so he basically suspended himself alongside that. So
well, he suspended himself, but the league was going to suspend him anyway.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this, but
let's also talk about Juju Smith-Schuster. He's now a Kansas City Chief, and today the Chiefs decided to trade Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. So when you're looking at this, in terms of the perspective for Juju Smith-Schuster, if he wanted to prove himself to be a number one wide receiver right now, yeah, they have Kelsey, who's basically technically a number one, but at least in terms of de facto position, I think it actually, from what we've seen now, it arguably worked out even better than what it could have been if he would have went to the Chiefs last year.
Yeah, it does. And what was this called? He only got one for how long?
A year.
How much?
10, like over a little bit over 10 million, but it's a weird contract where like it's like $7.5 million in incentives. So he's like only getting like $2 to $3 million, I think, guaranteed or something like that.
Get him. They still got Hartman. You know they're gonna draft a receiver or two.
Oh yeah, definitely. Maybe Sky Moore. I saw they were interested in.
I just think they could take. It's a good opportunity for Juju, better than it worked out for him. He's gonna be. I think he could be their number one receiver.
Yeah,
I look for him to get back to being 1,000-yard receiver. He's away from Pittsburgh. I think he needed.
He has an actual quarterback for the first time, probably. Well, the first time with an actual arm for the first time in probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
3 years. 3 years.
There's no brainer.
I hope I've been rough on Juju. I've been hard on him, but I wish him the best.
I want him to go stunt on every single one of them. I want him and Jackson Mahomes to be dancing in the end zone together.
Don't need to be doing
as long as it's not against the Steelers. But I want him to basically stunt on them. I'm gonna go full Dexter Laboratory with the picture in the locker, stun on them. And you know what I meant to end it with.
Oh yeah, you got $2.49 million guaranteed, 1 year, $3.25 million, and then the rest is just $7.5 million like incentives base. But
I think he's going to hit a lot of them.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for him to go there really because the Chiefs wanted him last year. So, it's all about the quarterback position. You're not going to pass Mahomes twice, and the Steelers have Mitch Trubisky now. So. That's just obvious. By Juju. Did you guys see his mom on Instagram said that the Steelers never offered him a contract? Do you think that was the case? I don't know. That's what I said on Instagram.
Considering how much love this organization had for him and the fact that he came back whenever he didn't have to, I don't believe that. I believe that he probably got an offer that wasn't worth his worth? Yeah. That I believe. But I think in terms of it, another 1 year flyer, he probably didn't want that. He probably wanted at least a little bit more insurance, and the Steelers gave him an offer that they didn't like. I find it
okay. So they've lost.
I find it weird.
So they lost Juju. They lost McDonald, correct, to 49ers.
McLeod, yeah. And James Washington also.
It's all right. An announcer from Fox did the exact same thing, so it's all good.
What?
They call him Ray McDonald instead of Ray McLeod. It's all good.
Ronald McDonald looking.
So they only have two receivers coming back from last year: Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. Right, as far as right now.
And they need to pay Deontay Johnson. But okay, Claypool, Johnson. and a bunch of randoms that we can't even name right now, except
Anthony
Chris.
Miller.
Yeah, Anthony Miller. How do you say the guy's last name that they got the punt?
Gunnar Ochensky. I don't even know.
Getting New England's leftovers, I see.
Yeah, but he's not much of a receiver though. He's more just a return guy.
Yeah, but where did James Washington go?
Cowboys.
Dallas.
Oh, interesting.
I think with their decision to get away from Amari Cooper, that's another good place for him. I mean, they have Gallup and they have Cedric Wilson, not Cedric Wilson for the Steelers, a different Cedric Wilson. But
I think he left.
That's his son. That's his son.
Yeah, that's his son, but I think he left.
Really? I did not know that.
I think no.
Yeah. He went to Miami.
I think he's.
He went to Miami. He went to Miami.
I think he left. No, I think Cedric Wilson left. I don't know where he went. I'm
he went to the Dolphins.
Yeah. To go with Tyreek Hill. So what do you think what do you think about the Dolphins? They got Armstead and Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, Mike McDaniel.
They're putting a ton of stock into Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I mean they got Speed there. They Waddle also. I'll be interested to see what they do. You know, I guess Hill just wanted too much money, and I think the Chiefs are dealing with some cap because Mahomes.
Yeah, they have to. You're paying Mahomes like $40 million, but then again, it's only going to go up.
Yeah,
the guy's going to go up, but the quarterback rate's only going to go up.
So is Hill the highest paid receiver in the league now?
$30 million a year.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
4 years, 30. 4 years, 120. I forget what the guaranteed money is, but yeah, he's up.
So he saw Devontae Adams get a new deal, and he was like, I want to get paid. And the Chiefs was like, we don't have the cap space to do it.
Yeah.
So the Raiders helped themselves out with that one, but
yeah,
man, that's a lot of money for a quarterback that isn't necessarily known for the arm, but I don't think a lot of people are known for Mahomes' arm. I mean, he's gonna have to switch up a lot of his game against it for Tagovailoa, and I think he'll have to involve himself. He'll have to be more
Debo
slant boy. He'll have to be more slant boy and more and less wasp from that guy. But who knows?
They're probably gonna use him
do it.
Debo's. Yeah, he could do it. He's a pretty hefty dude he's bigger than what you think he is.
He's a little stocky kind of.
Yeah, he's stocky. He's like a Debo Samuel. That's what they're probably going to use him as since he's came from that Shanahan. You see, these AFC teams ain't playing.
No,
Chris.
Hey, Chargers.
They ain't playing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a massive arms race right now, and I think the best.
And guess what team's getting left behind?
Yeah.
Hey, not for long.
I wasn't even going to say the Steelers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Steelers.
Do you know what team's getting left behind?
Yeah, your team.
You know, you're enjoying this stuff, Chris.
The Washington football team really
I'm not even talking about them.
Oh my goodness!
I said the AFC.
Oh,
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I saw.
Who's getting left behind?
The team is the New England Patriots.
New England kind of does its own thing, and then it'll end up somewhere else. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as long as they have Bill Belichick in there, I still think that they can make a playoff run. It's like Tomlin for that guy. Unless something goes catastrophically, horribly wrong. I'm talking Cam Newton basically after catching COVID wrong, then New England's going to somehow sneak their way into there.
I know. It's like they're getting like,
but it's going to be really tough for New England and Pittsburgh to do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The old AFC guard is changing right now. You see how the playoffs had out. You saw what Buffalo did to them. They were like,
Buffalo.
Yeah, it was
Buffalo
bad.
was what every single team wanted to do. Just take them around back and just give them the old Yeller treatment like you've been trying to do with Ben Roethlisberger.
Oh, well, Kansas City did that, but and kind of the Bengals did that too, twice.
Yeah.
Because remember that after that game, I got that article that got me in trouble. With what's his name?
Going forward, the Steelers.
But
They
let's go.
I like some of the moves they did in free agency, but like I posted on Twitter today, like where would you rank Mitch Trubisky among AFC quarterbacks?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, we already have 3 in the division that's ahead of him. Assuming that we'll say Watson plays 3. You have Josh Allen, Matt Jones, everybody in the AFC West, so that's 4. So you're already at 7. You're already like down.
AFC South, you're adding in.
Oh, we haven't even added them yet. Matt Ryan is still a better quarterback.
Tannehill is basically what Trubisky is betting the house on being.
That's what he is. He wants to be Tannehill when he grows up.
So like
I don't want to say who am I missing?
Lawrence.
The kid from Houston has some promise.
Yeah,
he does.
So give or take, he's
Davis Mills.
Yeah, Davis Mills. He was the second best rookie quarterback in my opinion.
So there's like 4 quarterbacks or something around there that he might be better than you think.
And then is Trevor Lawrence. You put him with Doug Peterson.
You have to put in potential with Lawrence. Potential
puts
him over
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah,
but
potential put them 2 over. So potential, you have 4, all 4 in the South, 4 in the West, 3 in the division. That's 11. 2, and they might have the worst quarterback situation right now in the AFC potentially.
Yeah. So
it's not
Wilson from the Jets. But
he's I said potential. He could make the leap.
Yeah.
There's so much leaps that could be made. Even if you drafted a quarterback last year, that quarterback can take a leap. Like I know that we want to talk crap about Jacksonville and their situation, but man, I think we saw this year with the Bengals a competent quarterback, a good quarterback. You can do just about anything. You can almost win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that proved it. But
a young quarterback with not a lot of money tied into them and a potential to grow. And yes, I don't trust the Khans for anything that isn't wrestling. I don't even trust them for soccer. You can ask me about Fulham as well. Oh, yeah. But I'd still, for a team that somehow built their way defensively into an AFC championship, they show that potentially they could do something. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a potential. And they have the most money spent in free agency over the past decade or so. I think they spent like $1.2 billion in free agency. Probably. Something's got to hit for them.
I think so. I think if they get this for now to protect that kid, they got their line. They got a couple linemen. They got a receiver, Christian. Man, they paid way too much doggone money for that.
Yeah, he didn't deserve that. As someone that moonlights as a secondary Cardinals fan, he didn't deserve that. He's good, but he's not that good.
So to wrap things up, you want to talk about the Baker Mayfield store?
Steeler rumors.
Yeah, the rumor that Mary Kay Cabot. Is that how you say her last name, Ty?
Mary Kay Cabot.
Cabot. Yeah. Yeah, she's a longtime reporter there for the Browns, so it's kind of like it gave it some weight and stuff. But I guess the executive told her that, if the Browns were to release Mayfield, the Steelers would pounce on it, I guess, supposedly, and they'd be.
They won't release him because that money's guaranteed. That will go all against you. That will go against your cap immediately because of that 5-year option.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't really.
They're trading him to something, and they're not even wanting a first round pick. And I'm pretty sure the only team that they would want a first-round pick for is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. I don't think he's
anyone else in the AFC can have Mayfield, just not the Steelers.
He throws a ton of interceptions, as it is. Like, I don't know. I think,
you have to deal with a gunslinger for the better part of 16 years. I think this team knows more than anything. When you have a gunslinger back there, that's what happens. I like the general story of Baker Mayfield. I don't think it's going to happen in Pittsburgh, but if it does happen, I would welcome it with open arms.
Yeah.
But again, with a team but I don't know if Baker Mayfield would want that. He wants to go out there and compete, and I think the best chance for him to compete for a starting job immediately off the hop and the opportunity to keep it long term as it stands right now is probably the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I agree. I think that.
You think so?
He's from
Texas. Talked about the kid. This guy.
I know that
Mills could be. I think he's better than him right now.
I think it would be a good story because Houston, people aren't familiar with the Texans' crap show right now because everything got tossed into it with the Deshawn Watson situation.
Yeah.
You think of a situation right now, they have a youth pastor basically running that organization right now.
Yeah.
So they are much worse off than even the Jaguars.
Yeah, like he's a youth pastor, but he's not even just a youth pastor. He looks like a suspect youth pastor.
I'm not gonna put it into it, but it's just like I see a lot of things said from the Texans fans, and basically he's in the ear of management. So I think that in terms of they want to sell tickets, they want to say that look, we're actually gonna do something with it, and it'd be the best possible situation. The second would be if Atlanta chooses to wait on a quarterback for next year, if they really believe that they are gonna get Stroud or something like that.
Yeah,
Right,
there's better.
Have to wait.
I like the Texans. I agree. I think that would be a good fit for him.
I don't know.
That's
I
really
think
it.
I'm sorry.
Maybe Seattle.
I think he's a backup for the rest of his school. I think he's a backup.
Yeah,
A very good backup, but I don't think he's a real starter.
he throws too many interceptions, but a lot of them come in the fourth quarter too. I think he leads the league. He entered the league in 2018.
He's not. I mean, I know that people are getting when this shorter quarterback. Not everybody's a Drew Brees. Not everybody's a Russell Wilson. Not everybody's a Kyler Murray.
Not even
quarterback
Donovan
with an
McNabb.
average arm, and average. He's just average. Just average.
He's one of those. He's one of those brags to riches stories that everybody loves. Walked on twice, won the Heisman, became the #1 overall pick. So if he gets
him too.
He still is part of. He still did the one thing that not a lot of quarterbacks, and they're hoping Deshawn Watson could do that, is lead the Browns to the playoffs.
Come on, man. That was the running game. Come on, bro.
He was still the quarterback of record, and whenever you look at that old jersey and see that, I mean that means something. He can hang his hat on something.
The Steelers lost to him in the playoffs.
He set the rookie touchdowns record. He had to throw the Browns out of situations. You know how it is.
Okay,
but
he's a bum that the Steelers lost to in the playoffs. He's a bum.
I'm not gonna discount your feelings with that, but it's like I'm just saying, here's the positives if this guy comes through, in case someone says that, he didn't want Baker Mayfield. I'm putting the positives out there. It doesn't necessarily mean
if the Steelers actually trade for him, they're
not trading for him.
Whatever. If he actually somehow comes to the Steelers, they'll be like, oh my God, Baker Mayfield, here we go. Go.
It's our fans.
Baker to the Super Bowl.
It's our friends from 93.7 The Fan. They put their wheels on every single quarterback. And while I love a lot of the guys out there, I worked there for a little bit behind the scenes. You as
Me
well.
too.
But I think that they kind of get the Yinzer hysteria at highs, and it kind of just forces this narrative that there's going to be a good thing with Mayfield. There's a lot of national hosts that I was listening in the car. They're flipping their feelings on it. I'm pretty sure Coward would flip his feelings on it if Mayfield became a Steeler or went anywhere else.
Yeah. Well, look how people switched up when Deshaun Watson went to the Browns. All the Steeler fans, a lot of them on Twitter were like, "Oh yeah, the Steelers should go get Deshaun Watson." And then he goes to the Browns. They're like, "Oh, this is a risky move." He's
it.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's
It is a risky move.
Yeah,
It is.
but it's like they switch. Like, oh, if it's a Steelers, it's a great fit.
It's a risky move, and then it's inside the fan base. There's an entire civil war with that, and I'm not going to be the type of guy that's like, most Steelers fans are saying like, hey, you said all this about Ben, and I'm going to say, look, that's valid, but I'm still not going to use that as an excuse because, frankly, you never know. You might get another quarterback that's kind of similar in the future. So I'm just gonna go, you know what? I'm gonna let you pass. I'll let you do whatever you want to, but just know that I hope that TJ Watt sacks Deshaun Watson 15 times. That's it. And it's not because of his allegations, it's because he's on the opposite team. Anyway, that'll do it for us. That's Chris Ward. That's Brandon Walker. I'm Ty Polk. You've been listening to the Renegade Blitz. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and @BlitzVideos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.